candid conversations, unfiltered opinions, and humor with Abeg Vex Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode. Today, I have the pleasure of having Mr. Jaison Thomas with us. Jaison is the founder of Jaison Thomas Media, JT Media. We just made a joke about that. So,
Love it.
Jaison's company focuses on helping manufacturing leadership have effective leadership strategy. So he's going to talk to us about that and his journey to his business. And we are going to know all about Jaison and support him. So welcome, Jaison.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. For a quick kind of background as far as the company and what I've been doing. So my primary goal, I always share that I bridge the gaps between blue collar workers and white collar leaders. So the objective here is basically kind of determining that a lot of our factory employees and our shop floor team members tend to not receive the best coaching or strategies in a sense. And oftentimes, not every time, but I've noticed that it often gets overlooked. And I've been involved in many companies. Actually, a little bit about my background. I started off as an airplane mechanic in the United States Air Force. So I was turning wrenches for a living. And then over the course of 15, 20 years, I was moving up from production supervisors, a chemical plant manager. I managed the entire facility. Then I went to a director of operations. So I say that because I've seen all of these operational levels inside manufacturing facilities. And I've realized that there is a gap when it comes to our people on the shop floor. A lot of times those opportunities are said that, oh, hey, we want to provide training, we want to provide coaching, we want to provide workshops. But oftentimes life and production and things get in the way. So now I saw that gap and decided to kind of build my own company to make sure that I can help other companies fill those strategies.
Right. So why do you think there's that disconnect between the blue collar workers and your white collar managers?
What happens, so what I've noticed, especially when I started, I came onto the shop floor and I had employees who worked for me who not only were they older than me, but they had kids who were older than me.
Okay.
So it's a very unique situation. And it's actually not as common as people really think, but it is very common in this manufacturing industry.
Okay.
So generally, when you think of accounting, when you think of other professions, it is not uncommon to have a leader who's younger than you. That's okay. But if you were an accountant and then you had a leader who you, not only were you older than, but your kids were older than that leader, it's not common, right? It just kind of, it resonates in a different way. So when we think about why those gaps exist, I've always resorted back to having a generational difference.
Right.
We learn in a specific way, we teach in a specific way. And when we enter into a factory environment, oftentimes there is a preconceived notion of what people think or what they expect. And in order for the leaders to really overcome those challenges, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy, but those preconceived notions exist because of experience. Okay. Someone might be judged or someone might have a viewpoint that they bring to the table, but it's based on a different set of life experiences or different set of data. Whereas somebody who's been doing the job for 30 years or 20 years already knows those challenges. So the trick then becomes, how do we still bring all of the best ideas to the surface while still having a level of mutual respect and understanding and growth?
Right. So I see that a lot in the world that we live in today. Again, more and more of people that have reached retirement age are still in the workforce because of competition within the industry. There's more of a leadership trend that is younger and younger, right? Even in healthcare, my space, right? The nurses that have been doing this forever and a day, the OG nurses, we call them, right? And I think the important balance in having that age or generational gap or disparity or whatever, however you want to term it, is that mutual respect that you talk about. You know, the youngin does not know everything because this person has been doing it forever.
That's
And
right.
the workarounds that your textbook may not have taught you, but this guy over here knows it, right? And also, there's a bit of an ego that goes into an older person who has kids, who has shoes older than you. Forget kids. That, you know, it kind of like there's a soreness with taking, say, instruction from a younger person. Do you find that in your industry?
Certainly. For the first several years, I realized that this was something that is uncomfortable.
Okay.
It can lead to imposter syndrome. It can lead to self-doubt. There are a lot of emotions, I'll call them, that pop up when we're in that environment. And I realized, especially if I wanted to kind of help and give to the audience and the people who are struggling with this issue,
Yeah.
we're not alone. And in fact, if we have that understand or that general weight of knowing that, hey, is this a potential? It likely is, and that's okay. But more importantly, A, you're not alone, and B, it can be overcome. So I remember when I kind of was going through this, I realized, okay, what can I do? How can I improve this relationship? And something just as simple as being humble, buying food, right? Those two are the top two that come to mind. And I remember I brought in these different types of, they're called kolaches, right? They're big in Texas, but I brought them into the plant and I gave them to, for example, the mechanic, and I would say, hey, I am not sure exactly how this works. Here's breakfast. Let me walk through this with you. Help me understand. Am I looking at this right? And it was just developing a human interaction, because generally a lot of leaders in factories and plants, they tend to have a complex. I don't want to say superiority complex, but
Only what it is.
they have something. They have something, and it tends to build a separation
Yeah.
between where the people are and where the leader is.
Mm.
Now, when we come to a level of mutual respect, understanding, humility, humbleness, but more importantly, openness, right? Openness to move the needle in the right direction, then we are able to break down those walls. And for our young leaders, we have to start there, because unfortunately, I have seen young leaders who did the opposite, where they walk in saying, I know this, I've studied this, I've done it, and they might be right. But there's a time and a place for that. And that type of demeanor, it causes stress, it causes unnecessary friction in those type of environments. So I would always say, go with humility, go with humbleness, find what makes people tick.
Yeah.
In plants, in operations,
Yeah.
it's always been food. I've done this for myself a couple dozens of times, where I basically go hat in hand and I say, hey, I don't know all of the details, but I know we can figure it out together, and I need help understanding what I'm missing.
Yep.
And I kid you not, in that process, I've developed relationships with people that were so instrumental that later on in the same environments, they have helped me sidestep or deviate away from mistakes,
Right.
because I might be doing something and they'll come up and say, hey, this equipment doesn't work that way. Consider this before you move on to this project.
Right.
And I'm thinking that wouldn't have happened, or it may not have happened had I not built that rapport. So
Absolutely.
small interactions, points of connection is really what helps us build up this next generation of leaders.
What you said about humility is so pointed, that some leaders fail to recognize that in order to be effective in leadership, there has to be a degree of humility. You have to say you don't know when you don't know. You have to be teachable. If you want somebody else to be teachable and coachable, you first have to display that, right? So the new things that you're learning in school and you all of this extra stuff that you know. Maybe the older generation does not know that. However, they have the skills and years of experience. How best to bridge that gap than to humble yourself and say, please, can you teach me? Because we didn't quite go through this, right? And quite honestly, school is not going to teach you everything out in the field, right? Some things are just hands-on, right? So there's humility is huge in leadership. And I'm so glad that is what one of the pillars of your practice. So say, Jaison, somebody wants to consult with you, right? They absolutely love what they're hearing. You say they absolutely can resonate and they would like a change within their warehouse or within their, floor or whatever it is, right? And they want to bring you in. What industries do you consult with and what is kind of the services that you offer? Because I want you to talk about your offers, your services, your product, whatever it is.
Certainly. I partner with several. So I've actually worked with nonprofit companies.
Okay.
I'm working with manufacturing companies. Generally, I like the opportunity to at least hear where their challenges exist. So for instance, if there's a company that's having leadership dynamic type of challenges, I'm curious to at least learn more and understand if it could be a good fit. Because what I offer, keynotes, workshops, and coaching, right? So in training in a sense. I want to partner directly with the companies. Now, occasionally I have had an opportunity to partner with people directly, but I'm slowly starting to build up a little bit more momentum towards those B2B contacts.
Right.
So I'd love the chance to partner with manufacturing companies who have factories, who have manufacturing people with production supervisors, plant managers, and operations managers. So generally, those are the people that I interact with the most.
Okay.
However, the message that I've been sharing as far as the dichotomy between generations, those situations and challenges exist across multiple different industries. So I definitely would be open and I would love the opportunity to be able to have an impact to people outside of manufacturing as well.
Beautiful. And where can they find you? Like where your website, your socials? How can somebody reach you?
The best way to reach me is LinkedIn. Unfortunately, I don't have all of social media. I'm only on LinkedIn. I left Facebook and Instagram about 10 years ago, so I'm still...
You miss nothing.
That's what I hear. They can find me on LinkedIn, Jaison, Jaison Thomas. I have a website as well, jaisonThomas.com. Yeah, I'd love the opportunity to connect and hear about other people's stories. And I'm certain that I can definitely find a lot of similarities if they have that challenge when it comes to leadership, especially with those generational gaps.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And for anybody listening, we will make all of that information available in the show notes. So you don't have to go, try to remember Jaison's name spelling. It'll be right there. You just click right into it and get to interact with him. All of that. So Jaison, something that I like to ask my guests, as we come to the conclusion of our conversation, I usually ask them to leave our listeners with, a few golden nuggets, just so that they can reflect and maybe apply something to their practice that they're currently not applying.
Golden nuggets. So I'm going to make an assumption and say that we're talking to entrepreneurs, or is there a specific...
We're talking to entrepreneurs. We're talking to plant owners. We're talking to plant managers. We're talking to, yes.
I love it.
Anybody in leadership, right?
Okay.
We're just trying to help somebody rethink their actions. That's it.
I love it. A couple of nuggets. My mind goes to two different directions, so I'm going to share both.
Okay.
First one, I had a mentor who really took me under his wings 15 years ago. I mean, now I'm looking at the year just to see when, 2012, 2013. And he instilled a level of responsibility in me where he pushed this idea of learning as much as we can.
Okay.
And then pivoting to find a way to do more of that for yourself and finding financial freedom, right? That could be, in my case, that was real estate, but in every specific person has their own path, I'll call it. But the way that he instilled that in me, it was almost aggressive in a healthy way. He said, you have to do this. You have to do it now. You have to do it this year. And I think back, having gone through it more than a decade ago, those conversations helped me build to where I am today, where I have the freedom, the opportunities to be able to share ideas, to be able to chase these projects and really enjoy what I'm doing. And I'm one of those people. I'm not, granted, if I know what I want and I like what I want to do, then I'm going to do it.
Right.
But 99% of the time, I don't know what I want. I'm not sure exactly which path I want to take, but I've realized that small, meaningful, incremental improvements or decisions early on will really set us up for a future. So that future might be a year.
Yeah.
In my case, it was almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal is always to at least build something so that you can rely on it for your future good. Even if it doesn't pay any dividends in the very beginning, those small investments down the road will give you a lot more flexibility, autonomy, and freedom. That's number one. And number two, now I'm talking to the plant managers, ops managers, and the people who are in the field on the floor.
Right.
And my advice or my golden nugget for them would be, it's not as bad as we think it is.
No.
People will never be 100% happy with every decision that you make. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Part of our job is actually pushing. So in theory, if every single person is happy in our shop, in our environment, if every single person is happy, we are not doing our jobs.
Yeah.
There is a responsibility for us to introduce discomfort, for us to introduce conflict. This is all normal. So don't take it too seriously to the point where it affects you in a negative way.
Yeah.
Allow it to affect you in a way where you're building, you're improving, you're moving the needle. So my advice to people in that arena is keep your head up. It will get better, but this is the best opportunity to keep learning, keep adjusting. And I always say, adjust, readapt. And that's really all we can do, all we can control, but we cannot control what people think or what people do. We can control how we think and what we do.
Sounds great. All of those they're so beautiful. So again, it's tough to manage people. So I'm so happy you brought in that piece. You're not candy. You can make everybody happy. Not everybody likes candy anyway. So
that's right. I've had people who complained about free food, and I was thinking it's free food.
Oh, can you imagine? So you
right.
can make everybody happy. Do your very best as long as you're a good human, as long as you are doing things that, will benefit humankind, I should say. All right. So make your decisions, but also understand that you're dealing with human beings. Not everybody will be happy. And also for the entrepreneurs, every journey begins with a step. You're not going to see, good for the overnight successes. Very happy for you guys. However, that is a minority. And I'm going to say that again, that's a minority of people. So start small, believe in yourself, go for it. You got this. It will work out. It always does. So, there's you know what? This is one thing I like about God, the universe, the source, whatever. I woke up this morning with a saying, it's a cultural saying, and my mom said it a few times during my childhood. It basically translates into drip, drip fills the pot.
I like that.
Like drip, drip fills the pot. Small, 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 small. So those very conscious actions, those very conscious decisions, those very conscious zeal to want to learn and make a change and want something different, is going to pay off. It may not pay off right now, yesterday, last week. It will pay off in the future. Just be consistent with it. All right? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jaison. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you to the audience for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening. Very grateful for you being here, Jaison. Grateful for all of you for listening. And we'll make everything available in the show notes so you can find Jaison. And if his message resonates with you, applies to you, you want to work with him, you can find him and work with him. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Be great. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Abeg Vex Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. It really helps us out. We'd love to hear your thoughts and continue the discussion. So join us on social media or drop us a message. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and keep pushing the boundaries of your world.